Hello everyone, it's Lee. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing my June bullet journal setup, and this will definitely be the last time that I release these videos at the first week of the month, because I realized while talking to one of my friends last week that I really should have these up a week before the month actually starts, so you guys would actually have time to use my video if you so decided to, based off of whatever theme you guys wanted to do. So I apologize that I haven't been doing that, but it will change for next month. But going into this month, I originally was gonna go with a sea theme because I was really thinking, like, you know, June's the start of summer, and that makes me think of the ocean, even though where I live there's literally no ocean to be had. But as I will go into later in the video, I went down a rabbit hole of video games and decided to do this Kirby theme. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you really love pastel colors, you're gonna enjoy it even more. I'm sure you'll get some kind of inspo from all this pasteliness. So let's just get right into it. Alright, so for this month's theme, I ended up going down a video game nostalgic rabbit hole. When I was working on my last month's weekly spreads for different EVs, I don't know how it popped up, but on my Pinterest board, a Kirby photo randomly popped up, and I was like, oh my god, I used to love Kirby! And then all the flashbacks began of like playing Nightmare in Dreamland and all my other Kirby games, and then I was like, oh my god, I should totally make June Kirby's month, which is kind of funny because I originally like had the plan to do a sea theme, but then as soon as I saw Kirby, I was like, nope! Scratching that idea, we're totally going back to Kirby. So I started with my quote page, and I wanted to just keep it really simple font, and I found this one quote when I was just looked up Kirby on Pinterest. So I went with that, made it very nighttime-y, and had Kirby on his signature big star at like the very end of the game where he like flies to whoever stole his cake. I don't remember who stole his cake because I haven't played the game in so long, but he was always trying to find his cake. So I thought it'd be a fun little thing to add to the quote. He was actually surprisingly easy. Okay, actually not surprisingly, like he's a circle. He is so easy to draw. But this particular cover page, I had more struggles with him for some reason. I don't know, maybe I was just having a weird off day, but I couldn't get the size of his body right, so I did the circle a lot. But after that, it was pretty smooth sailing with this. I don't know who the original artist is, but when I found this particular picture, I thought it was so cute, and then it showed me a bunch of other related photos, which I'm assuming is by the same artist. So I was actually really tempted to like draw the rest of them, but they were all such big, more detailed photos that I just was like, you know what, if I'm in a doodly mood, I'll draw it on a completely separate page during this month. So I stuck with the cake. I liked the whole sweets theme, so I really stuck with the very original game with having him just focus on getting the cake. And when I was working on this, I already had my light pink Tombow that I used for my cherry blossom theme, but then I realized that that pink is going to be a little bit too dark for Kirby, so I ended up making a trip to Michael's and got a bunch of new Tombows and found the lightest pink, and after coloring in Kirby with this light pink, I wish I had that color for Mew. It would have looked so much nicer, but oh well, you know, couldn't really do much at that point. Michael's was still closed, which, by the way, I am so happy that the quarantine is starting to get lifted, but I'm a little bit nervous about a second wave, but I better, you know what, never mind, we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to just stress myself out. So yeah, after going to Michael's, I grabbed a bunch of different Tombows and made sure I grabbed lighter colors of pretty much any main color that I knew I already had. Like, I had to grab a light gray to be lighter than the one I already had, because even though it was a pretty light gray, I really wanted to use just markers for this spread. I really didn't want to use pencil crayons again. I wanted to see if I could actually like have that same dimension looking thing that I've had with my other drawings with just Tombows. And I really love how it turned out. Like, it's so much brighter and way faster to color in, even though this picture particularly was pretty time consuming. But overall, way faster than pencil crayons and nothing smudged. So I think I'm going to try to continue using just Tombows and markers for my future spreads. So I made sure I drew a little one-up thing, because as soon as I saw the little picture of it, I was like, do-do-do-do-do. I was getting thrown with a bunch of nostalgia, so I think right after I'm done this video, I'm probably gonna like binge more of my Kirby games, because after Maze, I was binging Pokemon, but now it's time for a Kirby binge. I ended up not being able to find a different light shade of pink in the Tombos, so you'll see for the icing of June and a little bit of the plate, I used the same light pink that I used on Kirby's body, but I made it airy like how Amanda Rachel Lee did in her April spread to just make it look like an even lighter pink, because with the white pages it really did help. And if you guys do want to try doing this more airy looking photo like I did with these stars, I found the best way to do it is to sketch in pencil, but make it super, super light so that the light colors won't mold in with the pencil, because I find that was an issue when I was first starting to learn how to draw properly in my bullet journal. So yeah, that's basically it. Now we're gonna move on to our schedule page. This one I decided to do it kind of like how I did with my January one. I wanted to make it look very airy because I really wanted to have this theme focus on one of the first Kirby games of being in Dreamland. And it looks very detailed, well, pretty decently detailed on this sketch, but honestly it was really fast for me to draw. The only thing that was really time consuming was drawing all the boxes. And if you do want to recreate this spread, the boxes are 6 by 6 again. And it does take up the majority of the page, but because I needed like space in between each bar to kind of put more clouds and stars, I think it looked really, really cute. So for the top of these boxes, I randomly put streaks of light blue. I didn't really have a rhyme or reason for doing the lines and banners there, but when I was looking at the spread that inspired this one, it had that same thing as well, but because it was a watermelon theme, it made more sense. But I decided to keep it because I was like, it just adds a little bit extra to these boxes, why not? So with Kirby, I wanted to continue having him holding onto a star. I made him ride it in a different way, because this is how he normally rides it in like the classic DS games, and I just added a bunch of little doodles from the game, like the M tomato. I don't remember what the actual name of it is, but we're just gonna call it the M tomato in the corner, the little star swirly candy cane thing he uses, and then the star wand at the very end of the game. And it was just so much fun to doodle this, but I will say that the stars were very hard to do. So I just drew them like how I would normally draw stars, and then like round the corners to make it look more cartoonish. But as time went on, that got way too time consuming, so I just had to swallow my perfectionism and just try my best to make it look as symmetrical as I could. But you know what? Looking back on it now and seeing it done, having it not completely symmetrical actually kind of works. It looks a bit more cartoony, so I don't think it ended up turning out too bad. So along these edges, I decided to add more of the light purple, and I didn't feel like it was quite enough, so I used this Distressed Ink dark purple and did the edges. And did that off camera because I was bad and forgot to film that one little section. So moving on to my to-do list page, I was just going ham with doodles. After discovering how fast I could draw Kirby, I was just like, he's gonna be on every freaking page, and I'm just gonna pick whatever picture I can, because it was way more enjoyable for me to do these doodles than it was last month, I'm not gonna lie. Like, last month, loved it how it turned out and everything, really challenged my drawing abilities, but it took practically the whole month to finish my weekly spreads, and so I was just wanting something really simple, and I'm glad Kirby was so simple for me, because it was just so much fun. I ended up having so much fun with doodling all this that I ended up doing all of my weekly spreads for the entire month, which is unheard of. That's the first time I've done that. Was not even last month, because I had to do that throughout the month to get those drawings done. I did these probably in like a week, I think it was. I was so pleased with how it looked. So, as normal, I did do my social media checklist side on the left, and then my regular household chores and miscellaneous to-dos on the right. And fun fact, this crescent moon I actually did before the quote page, and it was the first time I was able to draw a crescent moon properly. It's not supposed to be a hard thing to draw, but for some reason, for years, I just could not draw them. They would always look so weird. So I was so happy when I was finally able to do it, and then I tried to do it on more and more pages. So moving on to our next spread, I decided to bring back my brain dump page. I was having a lot of issues really organizing myself last month, and I felt like I was constantly behind even though I didn't have to go back to work yet, which I felt pretty bad about. I was just like, what is wrong with me? I was just having a really off month. So I figured, you know what, maybe it's the time to bring back brain dump just in case that same thing happens this month. I don't think it will, just because I feel like I'm starting this month off on a bit of a better foot. But nonetheless, I thought a brain dump would be a great idea. So in this bottom corner, I actually decided to put a migraines tracker. I didn't want to put it in my habit tracker spread just because it's not really a habit. It's just something I need to keep track of. Because I've noticed throughout May, really, I was getting more and more migraines than I ever was. And way before quarantine, like back in September, I was getting a lot of migraines because it was a mixture of like being stressed out and not having enough water. And normally when I was having those two problems before I was on blood thinners, it was never migraines, it was just like a headache. But like migraines are like, for those of you who have had migraines, you know what I'm talking about. They are just debilitating. And they were really bad in September, but they were going away after October, and I was like doing totally fine. But then this past month and a half, I've just been getting them more and more, and I was so confused and wondering why it was going on, and my parents suggested that it might be because I had to change my blood thinner dose and it's my body like readjusting, but we were also thinking it might be from my allergies and just having a plugged nose. It's really bad allergy season right now here. So we decided to have a tracker because I have a physical with my doctor at the end of the month and figured that would be the best way to be able to tell her like, hey, this is happening, this is how many times it's happening, is there something wrong, should we look into this, or if it's just nothing to be worried about. So around the brain dump page, besides the migraines, I went on a huge tangent there, sorry. I just did more doodles from the video game. Have this little parasol, another M tomato, more of those stars, and whatever that candy cane handle thing is. So moving on to my habit tracker, I just did more doodles like I did on every other page of more Kirbyisms, I guess, and decided to go with a blue header instead of the purple like I did on the schedule page and checklist pages. With this month, I wanted to make sure I added back in my editing tracker to make sure I keep on track, because I think that's actually one of the reasons why I wasn't releasing more videos this month, because I mean, obviously, like, my EVs did take longer than I anticipated, but normally I'm better at keeping up with editing all of my stuff, but I don't know, that's just a theory, so I wanted to make sure I had it back in. But I kept up with my other habits, and it was actually really helpful to have my Insta tracker for my Meraki Memories page. If you haven't followed me there, just a little plug. I upload a bullet journal, weekly spreads if I'm not making a video out of it, and other scrapbook stuff I've made. So it does help keep me on track with it. Otherwise, honestly, I will forget to post if I don't have this thing. So moving on to my mood tracker. This one was a lot of fun to draw, but oh my gosh, time consuming. You really have to be in a doodly mood to do these kind of mood trackers, not gonna lie. So for this one, my idea was to have the majority of the days be little treats, but all of the treats were not gonna be that one piece of cake that got stolen from him. Do any of you guys remember Squeak Squad? I remember that one specifically, more than Nightmare in Dreamland, because like that one was my first game from Kirby, but I haven't played that one in so long. I remember the last time I played a Kirby game, it was the Squeak Squad one, and the head squeaker stole his cake just before he was about to eat it. So I thought it'd be a cute idea to have all of these drawings of different sweets, but the one thing he wants is not there. And he's just dreaming about it on that little cloud. I was running out of sweet ideas because I was trying to look up different photos of like different sweets that were in the game, but I was running out of ideas, so that's why there was like a carousel and a couple clouds and stars with numbers instead of just sweets. But I did try. So with the different moods, I decided to add in a bunch of brighter colors and it'd be a bit happier to look at. And I did leave out yellow, even though there are some stars, because I didn't want it matching the other little doodle yellow stars that I already put on that page. And after all of the Kirbys that I drew, I think this one is my favorite. So I thought it looked a little bit plain on the bottom, so I decided to add some more light pastel-y washi tape that I had, and a few extra little stars. And added some more of the purple distress ink. So moving on to our last page, it's my first weekly spread. This one I had a little bit more doodle heavy. Kirby ended up being a little bit too wide, so it kind of went into my Tuesday. But I drew the Tuesday first and I really didn't feel like erasing it and trying to like relayering out the spaces for the week. So I just kind of like drew around it and it ended up working out, but I was really nervous that it was not going to work like at all. So if you guys would like to recreate this specific spread, the spaces between each day were 10, and I decided to leave Saturday and Sunday slightly different and columned, just because Saturdays and Sundays are usually less busy days for me, just because when I'm at work, it's usually a full day and I don't have time to add on extra things in my to-do list for those days, so that's why they have a little bit less room than average. Which, speaking of, by the way, work, is anyone else back at work now that weren't technically essential workers? I just started back at my job and not gonna lie, it's still very dead. And my first 8-hour shift was so tiring. I sound like a baby, but I guess from being in quarantine and having to sit most of the time and work on all these videos, like my body just wasn't used to standing so long, so it's gonna be a bit of adjustment. But regardless of going back to work, I now have more of a drive to really get more stuff done. So this month I'm actually aiming to have 3 videos out instead of just 2, and then 2 videos on my other channel. So hopefully I can do it. Probably not gonna have much of a social life, but wish me luck. And I wish any of you luck if you're back at work and might be having the same kind of struggle as me. So for the finishing touches, I decided to add on these pastel-y washi tapes to kind of go with the color scheme that I already had going. And that's it, all done. So here is my final flip through for June. I'm so happy with this Kirby theme. So easy to draw, and it was fun, and it was so relaxing. I wish I had more space to be able to draw more Kirbys, to be honest, because like usually by the time I'm done a setup, I'm kind of just like really tired of drawing, especially if they're hard drawings. But this was just so much fun. Alright guys, so that's the end of my June bullet journal setup. Another month done, and really done, honestly, because I did the rest of the weekly spreads. So if you'd like to see the other spreads that I did for this theme, you can check out my Instagram right here, Rocky_memories. Hopefully you guys get some more inspo from that as well. And trust me, they were super easy and fast to do. It might not look it initially, just because I went a little more doodle heavy, but drawing Kirby is so fast, it's great. And now it's time to show you guys the original photos that I used for all of my drawings in this month's setup. As much as I'd like to be able to still do freehand, I still have to follow other photos. So if you have a moment, check out the links in the description so you can see them from their original artists. And I will see you guys next week, and I hope you enjoyed.